Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't already know, if you live in a hole, there is a big, huge, massive update that just came out for Modern Warfare, and it has a ton of new content for both multiplayer, Warzone, and of course, in this video, we are going to be going over all of that. And of course, the biggest thing that everyone has been asking for the longest time is finally updated in the game. That is right, you can now kill recon drones with throwing knives. I know we've all been asking for it for a long time. It is finally here, thank God. But in all seriousness though, the thing that people have been asking for, the Grau has been nerfed, the MP5 has been nerfed, and there is a giant meta shift coming in this game. And of course, in this video, we are going to be going over all of those buffs and nerfs and changes that happened today in update 1.23. And there is a lot to go over, so let's just dive into it. First, before we do though, I just wanted to say thanks for the recent support on the channel. It's been absolutely insane. We are getting closer and closer to 1 million subscribers. And on top of that, recently I checked and we were at 25% people watching the videos were subscribed, and now we're up to 26.6. So we're moving up in the world. And if you haven't already subscribed, it's appreciated if you do so. Like I said, we are on that road to 1 million subscribers. So if you want to help out, just click that subscribe button. And if you want to be notified, turn those notifications on. But without further ado, let's dive into this update. So starting off with multiplayer, you're going to notice that there was a couple things that we thought were going to be in this update that aren't currently in here. We're going to go over those at the end of the video, but as far as what is here, the playlists that we have this week are Ground War, Gunfight Blueprints, which has been here forever. On top of that, a new game mode, which is Team Defender. Essentially, this is like a capture the flag game mode where you just have to protect the person that has the flag. Honestly, I found it rather boring when I played it. Basically, you grab the flag and run to a corner of the map while your team protects you. Like I said, not my favorite game mode. After this, we have the new map, which is called Cheshire Park, or Cheshire Park. I don't know how to say it properly. Anyway, there's a new playlist that's Cheshire Park 24/7. And as far as this map goes, I honestly think it's actually a relatively good map. It's basically a 3-lane map. The 2 lanes that go around the outside are basically a big loop, and then down the middle, you kind of have where most of the action takes place with a fountain in the middle. It looks really good. I think the lighting on it is really good, and it's relatively small compared to a lot of other 6v6 maps in the game, which I always love to see. And honestly, probably one of the best maps in the game for the limited amount of time that I have played it. And then finally, the last playlist we have is Shoot the Ship, which is of course a mix between Shipment and Shoot House. We've seen this many times. It's a fan favorite and it's good to see return, and it's going to help you out with challenges. Speaking of challenges, we have a new weapon in game. So this new sniper rifle is called the Rytec AMR, and to unlock this bad boy, you have to get 3 quick scopes. No, you didn't hear me wrong. Using either a sniper rifle or marksman rifle in 15 different matches, so 15 different times, get 3 kills with quick scopes. And honestly, the easiest way to do this is either you use the MK2 carbine or the Kar 98K. Just aim down sights really quick, kill someone, do it 3 times in any given game, do that 15 times. Relatively straightforward. Now, as far as this gun goes, it's a 50 cal sniper rifle similar to a Barrett 50 cal in any other Modern Warfare game, and it has some weird attachments, mainly in the ammunition department. So first of all, you can use explosive rounds, and there's a lot of negatives to using this, but it also explodes on impact. So I think this is going to be good for taking out vehicles in Warzone, but honestly, in multiplayer, there's so much bullet drop that it's kind of hard to use. The other one is thermite rounds. Once again, a lot of negatives to this one: decreased bullet velocity, ammo reserves, recoil control, fire rate, but you get a thermite round that can stick to people and deal damage over time. Honestly, I'm probably going to use this gun most of the time with just regular bullets. Now, as far as my thoughts on this gun, it's kind of interesting because this gun basically is always a 1-bullet kill. No matter what you hit in multiplayer, you're going to kill them in 1 bullet. Now, as far as how that's going to play in Warzone, I believe it's still just going to be a 1-shot headshot kill. Everything else is going to be a 2-shot kill. And with this sniper rifle, it has a relatively slow aim down sight speed, which sucks, and it seems like it has a lot more bullet drop than the HDR. That being said, I haven't used it yet in Warzone, so I'm going to have to unlock this bad boy and still try it out. But I definitely believe there's a place for this gun in the game. It has a really fast fire rate with really good damage. The problem is it just aims down sights really slow, and the magazine size is really small at only 5 rounds. If there was extended mags on this gun, it might be a completely different story altogether. That's the new stuff in multiplayer. However, there are some bug fixes as well, and also just general game fixes. I'm not going to go over all of them. I'm just going to go over the ones here that are actually going to affect your gameplay and what you see in game. If you want to check out the full patch notes, as always, I always link them down in the description. If you want to read them, check them out. But as far as the ones that are going to affect the game, first of all, multiplayer and Warzone win and losses now track as independent per mode. This is fantastic. So if you're playing Search and Destroy, your wins and losses will track just in that mode, whereas Team Deathmatch wins and losses will be completely different. I think this is good to see, and hopefully you can still see the overall wins and losses, but I think this is a good update to leaderboards and things like that. After this, the Kali sticks have been added to modes like All or Nothing, Gun Game, Infected, and Gunfight. I really like the Kali sticks. You move incredibly fast with them. Good to see that they're being added and implemented in other modes. And my favorite update after all of this is long shots now display the distance in the point feed. I think this is fantastic. Every time I get a really long snipe in Warzone or multiplayer, I'm always like, wonder how long that is. Now you're going to be able to see. I think this is a fantastic update. I kind of hope they add it to the after action report so you can see your longest kill like in Blackout, but definitely a good update if you ask me. Moving over to the Warzone side of things, as far as the playlists go, first of all, you have Plunder Blood Money. That's the only Plunder game mode we have. But underneath Battle Royale, they have kind of changed the UI a little bit. But as you can see, you have trios, duos, solos, and then 200 quads. So 200 quads is just your normal Battle Royale, but instead of having 150 people, you now have 200. Honestly, I've played 2 games of this so far. Both of them weren't laggy and played a lot faster than a normal game, which I really love to see. I'm glad that they've added this in. Now I'm curious to see whether or not they actually add this in to the rest of the Battle Royale modes, or whether it stays at 150 as the standard. The next new thing in Warzone is supply run contracts. So you'll just find these on the map. They look like a little stopwatch, and then when you get them, basically you'll have 2 minutes for one member of your team to get to that given buy zone that it marks on the map. Generally, they're relatively pretty close, and you can get there on foot, but it's much easier if you have a vehicle. And once you actually get there, every member of your team will actually be able to buy something at a discount. The only thing that I didn't see at a discount was a loadout drop. Everything else was though, and in fact, you can buy a team member back for free just by completing one of these supply runs. I honestly think this is probably the best way of buying back teammates, because each member on your team can do it once they get to the buy zone. The other new thing in Warzone is the spotter scope. Now, personally, I haven't found one of these. This is from a screenshot off of Twitter, and basically this replaces your tactical grenade. So normally I use a heartbeat sensor here, and basically it's a sniper scope that you can spot people with, but doesn't have any glint. You can't shoot people with it or anything like that. The only other thing that's special about it is you can toggle on and off thermal. Other than that, that is pretty much it. I'm curious what you guys think of it. I probably will never use it, but it is something that you have to loot. As of right now, you can't just throw it on a loadout. Moving into the Warzone general fixes, bug fixes, updates, that kind of thing. Once again, want to see them all, check out the patch notes down below. But as far as the important ones, first of all, this one I don't understand. It says gas mask now cracks when you're taking damage near or in the circle. No idea what this means. None. If you have any ideas, feel free to let me know down in the comments. It sounds important to do with gas masks, final zones, but like I said, no freaking clue what this means. Probably my favorite little update to Warzone is team wiped message now appears in the kill feed for your whole squad to see. This is great. Sometimes if one of your teammates kills an enemy, you don't know if there's any of them still up. Now you'll know because that team wipe icon will be in the kill feed. I think this is great to see. After this, the supply droppers. It says this: the audio for supply droppers was too loud, preventing players from hearing most other sounds and communicating with their squad. This has been adjusted. This was a big problem. Supply droppers kind of sounded like your mom was vacuuming in the same room you were playing video games in, and you just couldn't hear anything. So I'm glad to see that they have updated this. And then finally, the last thing that we're looking at here is now allow up to 3 precision airstrikes to be called at once within a distance restriction. So this is essentially because too many people were trying to call in airstrikes at once. It was saying airspace was too crowded, and now 3 can be called in at once, and I believe before it was either 2 or 1. So big update here. This will definitely change up the meta up a little bit in the final couple zones. Alright, so moving into the weapon changes. Reading these patch notes, I could not believe how many weapon changes they actually added in this update. This is a full-on meta adjustment. It's not just changing a couple of weapons here or there. They're clearly trying to make certain weapons better and change the way certain game modes play, and we'll talk about that after we talk about all of the weapons updates. I'll kind of give you my overall idea of this and what weapons I think are going to do good, especially in Warzone after this update. But first, let's get through all of these changes. So the first one actually isn't a weapon, it's stopping power. Stopping power is now applied to headshots. Only certain weapons can go from a 2-shot to a 1-shot headshot like the FAL and Odin. This fixes a few cases where headshots could sometimes do less damage than body shots when using stopping power. This is actually something that they said they fixed a long time ago. They didn't, so apparently this is finally going to be fixed within this update, and it makes stopping power rounds actually quite insane with weapons like the FAL. The next thing that we have is the start ammo and max ammo adjustments. They increased the max ammo for the M4 458 SOCOM rounds. This does not mean they increased the magazine size, it just means the amount of ammo you start with your weapon and the total ammo later on once you pick more up. The magazine size is still the same, for example, for this M4 at 10 rounds. Similarly, they increased the max ammo and start ammo for the CR56 AMAX, M67 rounds, the SKS 10 round mags, the Striker 45 hollow point rounds, the SCAR default mags, and the Odin default mags. Like I said, this is not magazine size, it's just the amount of ammo you start with and have throughout the games. Similarly, they increased the start ammo with the SCAR 25 rounds and Odin 25 round mags. Once again, just the total amount of ammo that you have, not the amount of ammo in magazines. Unfortunately, I kind of wish they did increase the magazine ammo. That would change a lot, but this is just total ammo. After this, the AX50 got increased damage range. This is probably to help it more heavily compete with a weapon like the HDR. Speaking of the HDR guaranteed a 1 hit to the lower torso at any range. This is huge. This makes the HDR even more consistently a 1-hit kill, but an even bigger sniper buff comes to the Kar 98K. They increased the aim down sight speed, a small decrease to the hip spread, and increased damage range. This makes the Kar better in multiplayer and Warzone by quite a large margin, mainly because of that increased damage range. This is huge. This may now be the go-to sniper within Warzone. On top of this, the MK2 carbine has a faster move speed and an increased damage range. Once again, pretty big buff for the MK2. The Dragunov also has increased aim down sight speed, a now 2-hit kill minimum, which makes it sound like to me you can not get 1-shot headshot kills, which is kind of weird. Don't exactly know how that works. Also, gun recoil returns to center more, in other words, a faster center speed, and then finally a faster rate of fire. So an interesting change to the Dragunov. I don't know all of what that means, but it's definitely going to change up the weapon. After this, the FAL added a close range damage shelf with 1-hit headshot potential, which means you can more easily get 1-shot headshots with the FAL. We don't know what that damage range is as of right now, but that could be pretty big for the weapon. The AK-47 has increased aim down sight speed, so you aim down sights faster. I still think that this gun needs a bit of a recoil nerf just for console players. This gun's actually going to be pretty damn good on PC now. If you're a PC player, I definitely recommend giving this a shot. The CR56 AMAX has a decreased damage range, so a very small nerf to this weapon. Beforehand, it was one of the best ARs, so really no surprise here. After this, we get into the big one. So first of all, the MP5, decreased damage range, decreased 10mm damage range, reduced long range damage to 10mm ammo, and a slight recoil increase to the 10mm ammo. I'm not gonna lie, this is probably still going to be pretty good with 9mm rounds, but this is a big nerf, especially the 10mm rounds. So this may not be the GOAT SMG anymore. I'll have to try it out in game a little bit, but definitely a big nerf there. But an even bigger nerf is to the Grau 5.56. Damage range reduction, slight increase to high frequency recoil, so when you're firing at a high fire rate, much more recoil, and reduced recoil compensation and decreased range to the Tempest, Archangel, and Nexus barrel. So big nerf here. I do not think the Grau is going to be anything close to what it was before. a pretty actually insane nerf here, and I'm guessing the M4 is going to kind of take over for the Grau spot once again. We'll have to wait and see, but like I said, this is a huge nerf. They are trying to get the Grau out of Warzone, and they are trying to do it in a big way. After this, shotgun slugs. Increased projectile velocity, reduced aim down sight spread, added dynamic hit spread, increased damage ranges, and increased lower torso damage. They are trying to get you to use shotgun slugs. This is interesting. Whether it works, I don't know, but they're definitely trying. And then finally, the no stock attachments, the increased weapon recoil, and decreased aim down sights aiming steadiness. They are trying to get you not to use the no stock attachment. This one I think is biggest on the MP5 and Grau. I used the no stock attachment on both of these, so clearly just too many people were using it, and they're trying to get it out of the meta. So all in all, this is a huge shift, especially in Warzone. I think you're going to see a lot more Kar 98Ks, a lot more sniper rifles, because they buffed pretty much all of them, and on top of that, they are trying to get rid of the CR56 AMAX and Grau. I'm guessing you're still going to see a lot of the AMAX, and a lot more M4s, and maybe Kilo 141s. So yes, the meta is changing, and of course, throughout this week, I'm going to try out a bunch of different weapons, and then later this week, I'm going to give you my opinion on what the best weapons are once again in Warzone. But at this point, I'm curious what you guys think about this. So do you think this is a good change, bad change? Personally, I like to see the meta changed up a little bit, makes the game feel a little bit different. But like I said, I want to hear what you think, so let me know down in the comments below. Oh yeah, the one other thing that they updated with Warzone is that they did add new gulag weapons. There is now semi-automatic rifles on top of that sniper rifles, and you can even get fists with a throwing knife. So some big changes there as well. Moving on to the store items, there's actually 3 new store items this week. The first of which is a Nikto bundle called Take No Prisoners, and this one you once again get another skin called the Bloodletter. It's pretty cool. It's basically like his regular skin, but he looks like he's ready to go scuba diving in some sort of wetsuit. On top of that, 2 different weapon blueprints, the first of which is a light machine gun one, kind of going with the black and red skin, and then a 725 skin as well, both of which have dismemberment on them, which is pretty damn cool. On top of this, you can get the new puppy, which actually isn't a puppy, it's a hyena, which is pretty damn cool. On top of that, a vehicle skin, a new watch, as you're seeing here, called the Blood Simple. On top of this, a new weapon called Loose Ends, which is oddly a mission for Modern Warfare 2. I don't know if there's some sort of tie-in there. On top of that, there is a new calling card, emblem, and an operator quip for Nikto. The second bundle is called the Lost Souls, and essentially this is just a blueprint bundle for the new sniper rifle. It's a way of unlocking it without actually having to do the challenges. That being said, the challenge is super easy, and this one costs 1,200 COD points. And then finally, we have a Canadian bundle called the Take Off A, and if you guys didn't know, I'm actually Canadian, so it's our Independence Day on Wednesday, so a bunch of Canadian flag stuff, a Canadian flag skin for a couple of vehicles, for the Fennec, and if you're Canadian like me, and you're sick of hanging out in your igloo to cool off, riding your moose to the grocery store, and talking to your neighbors about your local hockey team, this bundle is for you. Oh, not to mention that there's literally a goal horn for all of the vehicles that you can use as well with this bundle. Now, as I mentioned before, there are essentially 3 things that are missing from this update. First of all, the biggest one, just looking at this image, Rose, the new operator, wasn't added in this update. So I'm guessing she will be added next week, but I guess only time will tell for that one. The second thing is gunfight tournaments. As you can see in the top right there, there was supposed to be gunfight tournaments added. They are currently not in the game. It's either going to be added next Tuesday or potentially this Friday as well. And then the final thing is Juggernaut Royale, which we talked about in yesterday's video if you want a little bit more in-depth review of that. Again, we don't know whether this is coming Friday, next week, 2 weeks, but as of right now, all of these currently aren't in the game. So that's pretty much everything you need to know about this update. Yes, it's a very big one. This is the longest update video we have had in a very long time. So feel free to let me know what you think about this one down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, found it informative, it is always appreciated if you do hit that like button. And if you like what you see and want to stay up to date on everything Call of Duty, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, peace out.
We are reaching for